onto the Davante Adams signing with the Rams for 2 years, $44 million, $26 million guaranteed. His 2025 salary is guaranteed as well, $20 million essentially. What do you think about this one, Matt? I thought this was cool. But I want to hear what your thoughts about this signing are. Okay.
Yeah, this one's cool. For sure. I will say, just before I get positive about it, I don't love the fact that, I wrote the blurb and the write-up for reception perception on Davante Adams, of just like what his profile, all his metrics last year. And I did at one point invoke the name Allen Robinson in the write-up. I don't love, obviously that's like familiar territory for the damn Rams, but only because I say that because it's a situation where we always talk about, like, I am always talking about the tricky nature of declining receivers, right?
Yeah.
And just because to me, and I say this often, but I'll say it again, it's the hardest thing to predict, even using reception perception. I never feel like 100% confident in trying to pick like this is when this guy's going to decline, because sometimes you see players drop off the cliff. I always come back to Dez Bryant in the 2017 season, I believe it was. His reception perception metrics just fell off the freaking cliff that year, and despite every major network nonstop coverage of what's going to happen to Dez Bryant after the Cowboys cut him, he was a free agent until freaking November, and then he tore his Achilles with the Saints and obviously never recovered from that. Sometimes you get like dramatic falls like that. Sometimes you get dramatic falls like Allen Robinson. But then there are other times where it's like Keenan Allen, where Keenan Allen's a declined version of himself, but he's still like a guy you can play. Like he still can be part of a receiver rotation. I think Adams is he's definitely declining. There's no question about that. But we're talking about a player declining from, I think, the best receiver since I've been doing reception perception, which is 2014 to current. He is, you could argue, he's the best receiver of this era, I think, and he's one of my favorites because he went from like the bottom of the league to the top. He has 3 seasons inside the current top 10 success rate versus man. He's got the 3rd best success rate versus press of all time. He's got multiple seasons over 95th percentile versus zone coverage, but the numbers have dipped. There's no doubt about that. The numbers have dipped. I mean, especially against zone coverage is why I invoked the Allen Robinson example, because like Robinson that year with the Bears, I kind of waved off like a big drop off in success rate versus zone because, well, the Rams want him to be an X and his man coverage stuff's still okay. Maybe he'll probably be fine. And he was not fine. Like away from week one, you're like, I don't think Adams is again, the fall off is much more, we're talking about elite to probably still very good in terms of his ability to play X receiver for this team. And I also think the fact that he got some slot work, over 40% snaps in the slot for the Jets last year, is crucial too, because I think it was a non-negotiable for whoever the Rams are going to play as their second receiver to be able to play multiple spots. Like, yes, I do think he's going to be the primary X receiver in this offense, but you got to be able to move Puka Nacua around the formation. Like that is like again, non-negotiable. So the fact that like the thing with Cooper Kupp is he's a slot only player at this point in his career, and he's going to give you only stuff in the layup route area. Adams, I think, still has enough separation ability down the field, and he can play slot and outside. That allows you to do more with Nacua. So not only do I think this signing is just good for the Rams overall, I think this is just yet another like, okay, Puka is on this rocket ship trajectory, and I think Adams being kind of his running mate can be a big part of that.
Yeah, Puka's the one. Like that's the thing. Like he's the number one. Yeah. To shorthand it, I give this a thumbs up. I had the same line of thought. I wanted
2. I give it 2.
Maybe 2. Yeah. I wanted to hear kind of maybe before I got ahead of myself or got over my skis with this is you brought up the X stuff, and this offense has evolved since 2017, 2018. It's gone through, this is like the 4th iteration of the Rams McVay offense. But they've had guys like Sammy Watkins in this role, Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson, OBJ, Demarcus Robinson. They've had all these vet guys basically in this role. This is not the Cooper Kupp role. This is not the Robert Woods role. This is not the Puka Nacua role. It's going to be more of that X, but like you said, he can move around. And really, it was the man zone splits because at the end of last year, we were breaking down previewing some games, it was such a contrast, dichotomy between Stafford and the Rams offense for zone and Stafford and the Rams offense against man coverage.
Yep.
Stafford against zone last year, 7th in EPA per dropback, 2nd in success rate. Stafford versus man coverage in 2024, 25th in EPA per dropback, 25th in success rate. And I know you just brought it up, but I looked up True Media. I am not hand cranking these stats like Matt does for reception perception, but through
not
True
the
Media,
dinosaur over here.
this is my shorthand, do it in 15 minutes way. But Davante Adams against man coverage, there's 81 receivers last year with 300 and more routes. He was 5th in success rate per route against man coverage, 17.7%, only behind A.J. Brown, Drake London, Mike Evans, and Ladd McConkey. That's why you bring him in. He was 12th in yards per route, 2.69 against man coverage. Of course, there's some noise with that. But again, that is just to show not elite, but still good. And I think this offense needed that. You know, you don't picture Davante Adams as a burner, but he can open up the offense and create space more than a Puka Nacua and definitely more than a Cooper Kupp could. And the fact that it's that intermediate areas, he can create some yak as well. Think of how many screens this team runs. You know, he can do those things that make total sense for this offense. He's great underneath, great intermediate, great on back shoulder throws. Great on in breakers. This is anecdotal. I'm sure you have some numbers on it. But also you brought up the slot stuff, is that when this team, for a while, when they're in passing downs, they really liked when Tyler Higbee was healthy to do 1-by-3 formations, which is where the tight end is the lone receiver and they have three true wide receivers on the other side. Boom. Now you got Puka and Davante Adams potentially in the slot, you know, at the number 3 and the number 2 spots. That is something Davante Adams feasted on when he was with the Packers. That number 3 spot, which is essentially a tight end role. That is another area that makes sense for this offense. And they signed, not my favorite player, but he has a role, Tutu Atwell, which is the burner receiver number now is 1 year, 10 million. But bringing him in, so okay, if they need speed to really take the top off the defense, okay, they have that, and that can create intermediate stuff for Puka and Davante Adams. And it's another big body. Stafford's going to give guys chances at the ball. So yeah, I really like this one. I'm with you. I'm basically giving this 2 thumbs up. I just really like this. The Rams are always one of my favorite offenses to watch. It's just, and kind of get a feel for what they're trying to do. And this one makes sense to me, even if they've kind of played this song before. You know, they finally have maybe tuned this right and got the guy, because yes, he's 32. Yes, he's getting older, but he's still a productive receiver. And I think this is going to be a great situation. And he's back on the West Coast, so I'm sure he's happy about that.
Right.